Gaza is not, it's too close for the big rockets and it's too far for the small ones. It's 3 kilometers from Gaza, but it's not on the way to anywhere. So we barely had sirens.
It's not on the way to a big city.
Yeah.
So.
But that morning it was like, even before the siren, we don't have a siren where we live, we have a Tzeva Adom, red color. It didn't even went off. We just started hearing like very loud bomb sounds. And I told Dvir, let's go to the safe room. He said, but there's no alert. But I thought, I came to hear it's like right on top of us. And we know that day they fired about 2,000 rockets just to our area, which usually it can take like a few, I don't know.
Usually it's around the 50, give or take, in a day or 2 or 3. Maybe 100, but that Saturday it started like with non-stop, hundreds of rockets. Just.
And what do you do at that point?
Maya took Ziv and got to our safe room, which is Ziv's room. Safe room in Israel, it's mamad. It's not like a panic room or underground shelter like here. Just like another room in the house. And ours,
a bit smaller than another room in the house because the government built them later. So they're a bit smaller than an ordinary room. Has like cement walls, it has a special window, a special door, a special air system that won't let air come from outside if there was any chemical weapon shot. But it's not like a panic room. The doors don't lock. You don't have any, like Dvir said, it was our baby's room, so it was just our baby's bed. Like, just imagine your first born room with all the love and everything that you put into that room, and it just turned into hell. Like, we had this crib, a chair that you can breastfeed on, something like this for the toys, closet, a changing dresser, and that was the room. Soon after, it became a very different room as time went by. But this was where we were.
So Maya took Ziv and got to the room, and I went out to bring the dogs because, again, we thought it's going to be, we need to be there for an hour or two. So Maya took Ziv inside and made a few phone calls to our friends up north to tell them that prepare our room, we're coming, and started to pack the bag. I went out to bring the dogs. One of them was on a leash, so I took her inside. The other one was free, and we went away because of the explosions. So I went out to the garden, shouted for about 10 minutes his name. He didn't come, and with all the respect to the dogs, hundreds of rockets were falling, and I said, okay.
We didn't know that while he was screaming the dog's name outside, there's hundreds of terrorists already.
I didn't know that, and I went back inside and left the front door open, wide open. So when he come back, he can get inside. 2 or 3 weeks later, our kibbutz now, the community is located in Shfaim, in Kibbutz Shfaim, in the hotel there. And I saw one of our neighbors, and he came and hugged me, and like, I'm so happy you're alive. Like, what are you talking about? Apparently, he was outside when I pulled the dog, and he saw me standing outside and shouting his name. And then he ran inside to his safe room, and his safe room window is facing our garden. And when he came to close the metal window, it's like a matter of 30 seconds maybe, he saw 5 terrorists standing in our garden just where I stood. And when he was out, he saw me. When he went inside, he saw 5 of them with the green stripes and everything. And apparently, like, I don't know, that's what we think. We'll never know, but because I left the front door open, they might thought that one of them was already inside, so they just skipped our house and continued to the neighbors.
They looked at all of our warehouse, stole everything they had outside, but they didn't come in.
Straight away, the electricity fell like after 10-15 minutes. So we had no electricity, which means no light, no aircon. Couldn't charge our phones. We had no water, no food inside.
It was a very hot day also, very humid, so the room became like very
stifling.
Yeah.
And Maya started to get messages in the girls' WhatsApp group.
My friends started writing that they hear gunshots fired outside their window and that they hear Arabic. Now this is something that no one was prepared for. Like as Dvir said, we were used to the escalations, but no one ever thought that someone can infiltrate the kibbutz because we had the obstacle and it was considered to be something that really can happen. So I said, Dvir, listen, they're saying that they hear Arabic. I think this is something different. Tell me, no, don't pay attention. I know, like they're just exaggerating. Don't pay attention. And I think before I even finished that sentence, we started hearing Arabic from outside our window and gunshots, automatic weapon from outside our window. Now,
and then we realized that some of the explosions we heard during the half an hour was not only the rockets, it was the hand grenades and RPGs that they...
So all that time you were in the
So
room,
what I'm going to say is, Dvir is going to say the whole story, but the whole time that we're inside, like I said, in our baby's room, our house, I don't know if any of you, I know a lot of people have went on missions to Kfar Aza and to the south to see what happened. Our house is right on the way to where the young adult live. So this is the neighborhood that got hit the most. So all the time that we were there, that we were in the safe room, our safe room wall was right on the road to that place. So it was a continuous battle right outside our window. So just imagine like right behind this window, that you just keep on hearing things exploding on your wall, gunshots fired on your window. And it doesn't stop. It didn't stop for almost 24 hours that we were there. The whole time we're in the safe room, in the dark, in the heat, with our baby, and we're just in like all of a sudden our house, our paradise, this was really paradise, just became a battlefield. So just like, I'm sorry for giving me like hard descriptions, but like imagine. I know people think it's far, no, it's just like an ordinary house, an ordinary baby's room, and a family sitting inside with their baby. This is what happened. And it just
how many hours were you in the safe room?
we were in our safe room for 24 hours, almost. And then when we were finally been rescued, they took us to another apartment and we were there for another 5 and something hours. In total almost 30 hours.
What is happening in the WhatsApp groups of the girls, of the friends of the kibbutz, which is 900 members in the kibbutz Kfar Aza?
The WhatsApp group went crazy. People started writing all these crazy messages. People started to write, they're burning us alive. One of our friends wrote that her husband is injured. Another one wrote her husband was in the first response unit. She said she can't get a hold of him. She doesn't know what's happened. Another friend wrote her husband, which was also on the first response unit. She said he's lying near the armory. He's dying. Please, somebody needs to go and give him like an artery. Otherwise, he will die. And like Nika said, the kibbutz it was a very small and close community. We were about 900 people, and everyone lives very close. So
physically,
and everyone knows everyone.
Everyone knows everyone. So these are Dvir was raised in the kibbutz. These are Dvir's childhood friends. These are parents that are in our same daycare, and we are hearing messages of people who are dying 50 meters away from our house, but you can't do anything because you hear what's going outside and you can't go out. We actually have our friends, a couple, they live 3 houses from us. A couple, she's a doctor, they have a 1.5-year-old. They wrote that they've been burning alive, like they're burning them alive. They had like a real combat in their house with the terrorists. It's not even terrorists, it's civilians that went in the second wave. They just went into their safe room, they weren't armed, and they started hitting them and attacking them with whatever they could find. When they started burning their house, seeing that it's a couple and a baby, and they threw like a gas tank inside and it exploded on them. They were still alive, so they went to the shower and they opened the water on them. Then they started hitting them from the shower window with a wooden stick. They hit the wife while she was holding the baby. She hit them back. They opened her jaw, like they broke her jaw, and they were already burned. Then they threw another gas tank inside. This whole combat took about 2 hours until they just left. And again, these are civilians. These are not even Hamas. They left and they were burned like 60-70% of their body. And they just walked with their baby. They managed to crawl outside. Somehow the army rescued them. They were in intensive care for a long time, but now they're finally out of danger.
How did you feel being in the room with your 10 months old baby for many, many hours, getting all of these messages, shooting all around you?
First, it was a bit depressing because you get all of those messages. Someone wrote that they shot his wife and she's dying in front of the kid. Someone wrote that they killed his parents and he's dying underneath them. Like all kinds of crazy messages, and you can't go out to those. It's like 30 meters away from you, 50 meters away from you, 100 meters away from you, and you can't help. You can't go do anything.
Very frustrating.
And again, the whole time, we're in the safe room with our baby. So we had like one mission. We had a meet, like, this baby needs to survive, right? So Dvir was just holding the door for Dvir knew that the door can be locked.
These doors don't lock.
I'm working in construction, so
You're a civil engineer.
I'm a civil engineer, and it's very sad to say, but a lot of people first didn't know how to lock the metal window, and most of them didn't know that they can't lock the safe door from the inside. They thought that once they do it with the handle, it's locked, but it wasn't. So a lot of people died inside the safe rooms.
So the whole time Bill was just holding the door. I was holding our baby, and we just had like each one had his own mission. Dvir had to close the door shut. I had to keep the baby quiet. So in some stages, I even had to put my hand on his mouth so he won't make a sound. Because again, they're right a meter away from us. And we kept on hearing what's going on outside, and we saw what's going to happen. We saw on the WhatsApp what's going to, like, we got these messages and we understood we can't have them in our house. And at the same time, we were trying to forward the messages to our friends that were in Shabak, in Secret Service, in the IDF, just to make them like, these are the locations of people who have terrorists in their house, these are the locations of injured people, please, somebody needs to come here, somebody needs to get to us. We can't stay here, like we're with the baby, like you need to understand what's going on here. There was a feeling like nobody gets what's going on here, it's crazy.
How do you hear about what's happening with your sister and the rest of us?
Who is your sister?
Okay.
So we also texted in our family group. In the beginning, everyone answered. And then, at some point, after like an hour or two, we realized that one of them, Adal, and Itali, her husband, I'm not responding. Again, we kept sending to everyone we knew their locations, and we asked them, whoever can get there, please go and check what's going on with them. During this time, one of my sisters, Mikal, wrote that they were in her house, they threw a grenade on the safe room door. And Ophir, the other sister, also wrote that they were there.
Each one of them had
three kids. Also shot all over.
And your parents?
And my parents were kind of fine. They didn't get into the house. And around noon, we got a message from Adal's neighbor that he is one of the only two people from the first response team that not survived, were on their feet. But those 12 brave people who basically left their families in safe rooms and jumped out to protect us. And 7 of them died almost instantly. And 3 of them got seriously injured. One of them, while he was lying injured, they kidnapped his wife and his 3 kids to Gaza.
They were kidnapped with Abigail. Her story got kind of famous here in the United States. She was taken her ship.
And only 2 were standing on their feet, but once they realized the amount of the tourists that were in our kibbutz, Zaka collected, we found out later, Zaka collected more than 250 bodies only from Faraza. And we know that the kidnapped people came back and they stole things and went back or continued to other places. So we know there were around 300 to 400 terrorists in our kibbutz. So those 2 guys, brave guys, realized that they had no chance and went back to their families to make sure that they're all right. One of them is Adar's neighbor, and when he texted us that when he went back to his place, to his home, he saw their front door, my sister's front door, wide open. He saw an empty AK-47 magazine on the stairs in the entrance, and they had twins. The twins were 10 months at that day, and he heard them crying. So again, we continued to text to everyone we knew.
Until that time, we were very worried that they weren't answering, but your brain has this defense mechanism of denial. Like you
I know, so you're in a very
you're telling
stressed
yourself,
situation.
but you're telling yourself like, maybe they're like, Dvir, I remember Dvir told me, maybe they just fell asleep. I thought to myself, no way they're asleep. And when we got all these messages, we said, why are people exaggerating so much? Like, why would someone write, they killed my parents? Like, help is on the way. You don't need to exaggerate. You can just say, like, you can't really understand that this is really what's happening. You just tell yourself lies. Like, your brain cheats you. So we didn't really understand. We tried to avoid thinking about what happened to Adar, even though we were worried. But once he said that the babies are crying, we understood, okay, the babies are there, they're alive, somebody needs to get to the babies now. So we just tried.
We realized that at that point that we don't have only one baby to take care of, now we have 3. At some point I even told Maya, and when we started to get messages from houses that were on the other side of the kibbutz, and we thought that, I don't know, like there are 10, 15, 20 terrorists jumping between the houses, and they're far away, they're on the other side of the kibbutz, because this is the messages we got at that point. I told Maya, I'm going quickly to bring the twins. And she looked at me and told me, no, it's a suicide mission. If you'll do it, so Ziv, our son, will grow up with no father, and they will grow up with no uncle. And
when I said that, I did it was a day full of tough decisions, right? So when I said that, it was a very hard thing to say, because I didn't know what's going to happen with the twins. I didn't know that they're going to survive. But I just knew that if he's going out, he will definitely not survive. There was no way of surviving what happened outside if you go out. So I said it without, I didn't know how he would take it. I didn't know if we would be able to live with ourselves, but I just knew there was no way of letting him come out. There were a few situations like this during that day. Like, we have friends that are eating themselves from, they tried to go out to save other friends, but they couldn't. Women that begged friends to go and save their husbands, and they couldn't. We had to make really hard choices that day. We got messages, like they sent us, one of the people in charge of the kibbutz sent us a message saying, okay, so they're burning the houses to try to make you out of the safe room. So if they're burning your house, stay inside, don't come out, because it's better to get some burns than to be caught by Hamas. And you're getting this message, you're inside your safe room, everything is dark, there's no light, we have our...
And you continue, the whole day, you continue to smell this burnt smell.
Yeah.
And you don't know where it's coming from, and you keep touching the floor and the walls to try and figure out if it's from our house or from,
a lot of houses around us got burned, luckily not our house, but like we said, the houses are very close, so the house right behind our safe room, which is like 10 meters.
No, like twice, yeah, something, maybe less, but yeah.
So
Something
this
like
one was,
twice the length of.
so this house got burnt, and we didn't know if the smell is coming from our house or not, so we just tried to figure out what should we do if they burn our house. Or at one point we got a message that the IDF, the Air Force is going to bomb the kibbutz now, so please, everyone stay put,
Stay put in your safe rooms.
So we thought like,
what? I'm holding the door, she's holding Ziv, we're looking at each other like, the Air Force is gonna bomb the kibbutz, like, what are we supposed to do in this situation?
but our safe room had all the IDF,
we acted the same. Like, we looked at each other, we didn't know if to laugh or like, what?
We said like, don't you know we're here? They're attacking our kibbutz, but this is Israel, like what?
Now we know that there were so many terrorists that they couldn't, that they just shot from the air because they knew that if you're outside, which was, they were wrong.
You're a terrorist.
You're a terrorist. They assume you're a terrorist, so they just shot and bombed from the air. We got, I think they're going to lose contact with us. So 4 kids, 9 grandkids, and also they were in their safe room. And we wanted them to keep fighting, not to give up. So we didn't tell them anything. We found ourselves crying for about like a minute or two, and straight away we said, okay, we don't have the privilege of, to freeze or to give up now.
There's still like, the battle is continuing right outside, right behind the wall, so you can't really, you still need to survive, you still need to do whatever you need to do.
So and also the twins are alive, so we need to take care of them. So while I'm holding the door, I started to make phone calls to all the hospitals in the south to check where they are, because no one knew where they took them. It was such a chaos. Like people just brought wounded people and soldiers into the hospitals. They didn't even know who's where. And Maya, while she's holding Ziv, because we had 5 babies this year, and like 5 of the nephews born in less than 10 months. Maya was pregnant with 3 of my sisters. So she knew exactly, and they grew up together.
There was a month apart, the twins and our baby. So we were together in maternity leave, they were together in the same daycare. Like our whole dream was to grow the kids together. They were supposed to, it was like really our fantasy. So we knew exactly which formula they used, which diapers, which dummies, everything. So at the beginning we said, okay, so now Dvir's brother and sister who are bachelors from Tel Aviv are going to get the babies. First thing we need to get some car seats for them, which again, like now I'm thinking about it, who cares about car seats? But we started making phone calls to people in the center, like, listen, we need car seats because they rescued the twins.
From the safe room.
Yeah, from the safe room.
Once the holding Ziv and like
I called my sister,
ready.
So we did very stupid things, right? Like at one point, Dvir went out of the safe room to boil bottles for Ziv because it's dangerous for him to drink unboiled bottles, right? So he went out, and because there was no electricity, he couldn't light the stove with the electric lighter, so he had to go outside and get the lighter, which we didn't think straight. We had terrorists in there. We thought like, oh, they won't fire.
Yeah, just crawl to bring the lighters from
he brought a lighter,
from
she lit the fire, he put like some paper to hide the fire because there was a window right in front of us.
So they won't see it from the outside.
Like I think it's more dangerous now to get shot than to drink it, but whatever, this is what we did.
I was wondering what did the baby eat? What was the whole time? How did you keep him busy?
We went to bring food.
We went outside
To bring food from
water.
also quietly in the dark to bring something from the fridge.
We had like some chicken, just a
So,
box. So we organized all the. Yeah. So we just got like you said, we cried for a minute or two, and then we just snapped out of it, made a list of what they need to buy, send them to the hospital until we received the pictures of the twins, and we were relaxed to see them.
So only around 3:30. I don't know if we fell asleep because we didn't sleep for like 3-4 nights in a row, or we passed out because we didn't air and we were so depressed. And we woke up, opened our eyes at 5:30 with weapons in our eyes, in our faces, and then they spoke Hebrew, so we realized those are soldiers. They took us from under fire. They gave us 2 minutes to pack. That's it. And took us under fire to a different by
We
foot.
walked.
To a different, we were sure that they're taking us out, but they said that they don't have enough armed vehicles, so they took us to a 2-bedroom apartment, which it was like a road a way that you usually do in 2 minutes. It took us almost 20 minutes because I held Ziv in my arm, she held one of the dogs, and every few steps they just pushed us to the ground because they were still shooting and throwing grenades at us. And they took us to a 2-bedroom apartment. We were 19 people there for another 5 hours, 5.5 hours.
And it was all, like we said, we lived in the neighborhood where the young adults live. So we were the only family that lived nearby, and we were the last one rescued. So when we came with the baby, all of them were looking at us like this, like he was starting to scream and he was happy and everything. They said, "How did you manage to keep him quiet? Like, how didn't they find you the whole time?"
So they took us out, which was at 10:30 in the morning, Sunday. Only then we actually saw a bit of, because we crossed the Kibbutz, only then we saw a bit of what happened during the night. And everything, while it's under fire, because it started at 6:30 Saturday morning, they took us out at 10:30 Sunday morning.
And even when we were at that rescue apartment, the terrorists found out the apartment, so they started shooting at the apartment. So the soldiers had to go out and fight them. Like, it was a continuous battle in the kibbutz, also in that day, but all the way until Tuesday.
The battle finished only Tuesday afternoon at 5:30.
That's why it took us so long to bury our dead. We only buried the Dvir and Maya after 10 days, because they couldn't rescue anyone from there, any bodies.
Only afterwards we learned that they found my sister on the kitchen floor with her pajamas, with 2 bottles of the twins in her hands. Because she also thought that she's going to be stuck an hour or 2 till it will come down and we'll go. So she went out to fix the bottles. And then they found, like, they saw her through the window, shot her, got inside, verified, you know, the kill. And then her husband closed the safe room door behind him with the twins. They had 2 cribs, one in front of the door and one on the side. Luckily was smart enough to put both of them in the side one, because the terrorists shot 3 bullets through the door.
The doors apparently were not bulletproof.
2 of them hit Itai in the body, the 3rd one hit the crib. Luckily, one of the babies wasn't there. Then they got inside, shot Itai in the head, just in the room, in the safe room next to the twins. And apparently, for about 14 hours, they used the twins as bait.
The terrorists stayed in the house. They went in and out. They stayed in the house, not giving the babies any aid, no food, no water. They didn't pick them up. They just left them in the room with their dead father.
And waited for the people that they heard the cry and came to rescue. They waited them there and shot everyone who tried to come and rescue the twins.
So it wasn't out of mercy or anything. Like, they didn't show any humane or it was just something that served their.
Each one of them drank like 3 bottles of water
when
they were rescued. It was a combined force of Shabak and Golani
To get them?
them. And unfortunately, Tomer Greenberg, the Magad of Magad 13, and all of his crew died in Gaza.
They saved the twins, and after that
they died in the 1-year birthday of the twins. They died in Gaza, so we didn't have the chance even to meet them and say thank you. All in all, we lost 63 members from our kibbutz in our close family, we lost Hadar Nitai and Yahav, my cousin. He fought with them and gave his wife, Shaili Atari, and their 3 weeks old daughter the time to run away, and he got shot and died. So we
shot him in the
have,
back.
so we had 63 dead that day and 18 kidnapped people, and 11 of them came back. 2 of them died in Gaza, so now we have 65 dead, and we still have 5 kidnapped in Gaza out of their 136. And we are waiting. Keith Seagal, 66, grandfather and father, one of my best childhood friends' father. Him and his wife got kidnapped. His wife came back and he was still there. American citizen from North Carolina that came to the kibbutz as a volunteer. Fell in love, got married and stayed.
We have Emily Damari, who is 27, and Doron Steinbacher, who is 30. 2 young women that were supposed to be on the last deal, that Hamas has broke the deal at the last minute. We don't know why. We can only imagine from hearing the stories from people who came back, and we're very worried. Why doesn't Hamas want the world to know what is happening to these young women there? We have Gali and Zivid Berman, twins.
Boys.
Their mother,
26.
their mom is very crazy.
Their father is very sick, and he hopes you will be able to see them before.
Now these people have no Red Cross visits. Nobody really knows what's going on with them. The only things we know is through people who came back from captivity that are telling us like the most horrible stories. And from what we know, from what we hear, from what we see, because unfortunately in the past weeks we only see dead bodies coming out of Gaza. So from what we know that they've been kept in really inhumane conditions with not enough food, no air, no sunlight, no medicine. People are sick, people are wounded. We know some people are missing limbs. We know that they're going through the most horrible torture, physically and psychologically, and in all the ways you can think. So our main thing that we came here to say is to just ask everyone to do whatever you can to keep this like the top priority, to keep this the agenda, because like our 5 friends, there's another 135 people there, 131 people. The smallest one is a 1-year-old baby. There's grandparents, fathers, brothers, mothers, sisters, daughters, sons, and they're just civilians that were taken from their homes in their pajamas. It was a Saturday morning, like just try to imagine yourself, you or your loved ones, being taken from your home in a Saturday morning. It was a hot day that day. It was still summer in Israel. Now it's winter. I don't know if any of you have been in the northern Negev, but it's very cold. Some of them were taken barefoot with no shoes. And they really need to come back today. They have no more time, and there's no price that is too high for these people. We feel like we owe everything to get them back.
Them and their families.
And we also feel like it's only like by chance that we're here and they're there. Everything could have happened differently, so that's also why we feel it's so strong that we need to come here and tell the story and to ask everyone to do whatever they can to get them back.
I'm going to open the session for some questions if you have.
You're just asking, like...
No political questions. So anything about the story or the members?
Whatever you want to hear, whatever you want to ask. We are private people. We don't want to get into politics and stuff like that.
If you can stand and say your name. So, yeah, we're not taped.